Right, so this is stuff that I was going to go for you if we had a lesson. I forgot that you had your English warm-up today. So I produced this to do with you in the class, but I'm going to go through with you now. I'm just going to answer these questions. I'm going to put these side by side, and I'm going to answer it in Notepad++, because that will do. That's something for A-level, so ignore that. There we go, start a new one. Right, so let's take this question here straight away, right? The company want to have a login system for their customer to use. It should allow them to enter their username and password 3 times only. If they enter it incorrect 3 times, it should quit. If the login was successful, output access granted. Password is this. So basically, we're allowed to enter 3 attempts or we fail. So because it's a loop, I have the difference between a for and a while loop. Now, you might think this is a count control loop for it's a X number of times, and I could use that. But the thing is, even though it's 3 times the maximum, it doesn't mean it's 3 times every time. So we really want to use a while loop because we don't actually know how many times it's going to loop. It's maximum 3 times, but it could be 1. So we're going to use a while loop. Now, because I'm going to count how many times they enter it, obviously I start with, you could call it attempts or whatever. I'm just going to call it times. It really doesn't matter what you call it. So we're going to loop forever with while true. And then we're going to get them to enter in their username and password. I'm just going to use you because I can't be bothered to write anything longer. And also it's easier for you to see. So I'll just copy and paste that there. So this is password. Now I need to check if they're correct. Now, because I want both of them to be correct, I'll do it on the same line. If U equals, and it's Adam T, and P equals 1, 2, 3, A, B, C. That means they've entered it incorrectly. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit so it goes on one line. There we go. That means it's correct. In which case we just put login successful. You know, or something like that. And then we can break the loop. Otherwise, it said it should quit, which is a bit weird. But anyway, otherwise, we increase times equal times plus 1 because they've got it wrong. Right? That's all we basically do. Obviously, you'll probably print some sort of incorrect login. Okay. And then if times is equal to 3, we're just going to quit. Okay, you can just write quit like that. I think it's sys.quit in Python, but it doesn't matter. You could write that if you want, but just quit or exit is another way of exiting programs sometimes like this. There you go. So that's basically it. They get 3 times. If it's 3 times wrong, they quit. Otherwise, you might want to print a message like, fail 3 times or something. Depends what it asks for. But yeah, so that would be the answer to that one. Let's do the next one. The company Happy Holidays wants you to create a program that will allow the user to enter a country, and the system will say if they fly to the country or not. The company stores their destinations in an array called destinations. Basically, you've got to do a linear search. They're going to enter a word. You loop through to see if it's in here. If it is, you're going to print fly to yes or no, basically some sort of yes or no. So we can assume that's at the top, but I'll put it there for reasons. But here we go. So we've got destinations, okay? So we're going to get them to enter in their country. I'm going to call it C because I can't bother to write out a long word. And then we've got to loop through destinations to see if it's in there, right? So to loop through arrays in Python, you just write for I in destinations. So I is going to be Egypt, so then I will be USA, then I will be Finland, then I will be Mexico. So basically, if I is equal to C, so if the one we're currently looking at is equal to the country that we've put it in, then, yeah. You might want to do like, if it might say like ignore case. If it says ignore case, then make them both uppercase, like this, and then we can ignore case. If the uppercase version of I is equal to the uppercase version of C, or lower, whatever. But I'm not going to do it for now, so then I'm going to put... Now, the thing is, we need to know if it's in there, but we don't want to print... See, the problem is, what you might do... Actually, I'll write out what the mistake most people would do. They would put print can fly here, right, or whatever. And they do else, can't fly here. But what they will do, it will actually print can't fly here. Let's say they wrote Mexico. It'll print can't fly here, can't fly here, can't fly here, can fly here, because it's doing the checks on each one separately. So actually what we need to do is start a variable with that we haven't found it, like this. If we find it, we just set that variable to true. Okay. So after we've gone through the loop, if it says if found is in there, if it's in there, it will say true. So then after the loop, I go if found equals true, print can fly, else print can't fly. Okay, so this is going to loop through and change that variable from false to true if it matches. Otherwise, then afterwards we check what that variable is. If it's now true, then we can fly. Otherwise, we can't fly, and that's it. There you go. Our next one, this is one I think I've got a filling on the actual thing. This was an exam question here about files, so there are these answers. So basically, an algorithm is to read numbers from a file. Each number is checked when it's read from the external file. The number is output to the user if it's not 0. Okay, so if it's not 0. So very quickly, I'll just put in some text boxes because I didn't think of that. We've got to open the file. So my file. Dot open. Has it got dot open? Oh, just open. Okay, open. Yeah, that makes sense because my file's there. Okay. Now we've got to read the lines. That's saying loop while it's not the end of the file. So then it's my file dot read the line because we're going to read lines one at a time. It's not how we do it in Python. I'll show you how you'd write this in Python in a minute. you'd do it slightly different, but I'm filling this one. Now, if the integer, now when you read things in, they're always strings. Actually, you could have just not cast that to a string and checked it as a string here. But anyway, if int of temp, because temp is the line we just read, is not equal to whatever, 0, because it's not a 0 number, we're going to print it out. Assume it's print temp, end while, and then of course at the end, you've got to close the file. Okay, so we're going to read a line. If the integer version of that line is not equal to 0, we're going to print out the line and then close it. And casting is used, by the way, here, just for this question. Casting turned the string line read from file into an integer. You know, might be tempted to write the actual line out in temp. Yeah, here it did it. I'll just write this in Python though, because some people like to ask me, how do you do that in Python? So, there we go. So we would go, my file equals open data.txt r for read only, but if you don't do that, it's fine, but that's just saying reading, okay? And then you'd probably go temp equals read lines, okay, and that will read all the lines at once into an array. So if there were 10 lines, it's an array with 10 lines, and then because it's an array, we can do the thing before for I in temp, we loop through it, and now I is going to be each line one after the other. So then I would go, if the int of I is not equal to 0, then we print out I, because I is going to be each line in temp. So this one is reading one line at a time. But actually in Python, what we do is we read all the lines into an array. We could even close the file here. Now, we legitimately could just go like my file.close right here, but it is quite common to still actually close the file at the end like this. And that's the answer to that. Yeah, there you go. Let's go on to the next one. Write a program that opens a file and counts the votes in it. Votes are either A, B, or C at the end. Output total votes for each and the winner. The votes are in a file called votes.txt. Okay, so it's going to be like that. Same thing, but because I'm counting things, I'm going to need 3 boxes, A, B, and C. So if I is equal to A equals A plus 1, and then I think you can work out how easy this is now. Okay, so there we go. There's no need to cast it because they're strings and I want them to be strings. So for I in temp, we open it up, we read the lines, we loop through it, check the votes, bum. The only thing I haven't done is see who the winner is. So if A is greater than B and B is greater than, and A is greater than C, then A wins. And then, of course, the logic is B greater than A, B greater than C, and then C greater than B, C greater than A. Should be right. Now, obviously, this doesn't handle draws, but hey-ho, it doesn't ask us to handle that. So there we go. So that's that one. Okay, the Happy Holiday Company wants you to create a function to calculate the total cost of a trip. The trip costs £50 per adult and £25 per child. If the total number of people is less than 4, add £20 charge on top. Create a function called trip cost that takes two parameters, adults, children, and returns total cost. Easy peasy. Define trip cost, adult, children. Cost equals A times 50 plus C times 25. That's all it is. I don't know why it's double tapped. Yep. Now all we've got to do is work out if we need to add £20 on top, because we're getting £50 per adult, £25 per child. So that's the math. If you want to put brackets there for no reason, you can. And then you go, if adults plus children is less than 4, cost equals cost plus 20. So basically, if the total number of people, which is adults and children, is less than 4, we add £20 and then just return the cost. And that's the answer to that one. So there you go. That's what I would have gone through some in the lesson today, but obviously we didn't get a chance to have it. So good luck, and I'll see you in the morning.